Mulan story.
Hi, my name is Mulan. I live in a small village in China with grandmother Fa, my mother Fa Li, and my father Fa Zhu, a brave soldier who was once wounded in a battle. I love playing with my dog little brother and coming up with ideas for making my chores easier. I invented a way to entertain little brother and feed the chicken at the same time. I have everything I need, but I also want to bring honor to my family with a good match. To prepare for my meeting with the matchmaker, I carefully wrote a note on my arm. A good wife is quiet and demure, graceful and polite. Ready for my meeting? I rode my horse Khan as fast as the wind to matchmaker's village. When my mother saw my messy hair, she knew I needed a serious cleanup. In a flash, my hair was pulled tight and piled high on my head, and my lips were painted red. By the time I looked in the mirror, I didn't recognize myself or feel like myself either. Grandmother Fa presented me with gifts: a jade necklace, an apple, and a lucky cricket named Creaky. My meeting with the matchmaker began with the tea. Then my lucky cricket became very unlucky. Creaky hopped around the room, knocking down candles and setting fire to everything, including the matchmaker. "You will never bring your family honor," cried the matchmaker. I returned home feeling ashamed. What if she was right? My father found me in the garden. Pointing to a cherry blossom on the tree, he said, "This one's late, but I'll bet when it blooms, it will be the most beautiful of all." Being a late bloomer was not easy, though. Just then news arrived from the imperial palace. The Huns and their brutal leader Shan Yu had invaded China. The emperor's councilman Qi Fu called for one man from each family to fight. In my family, that would be my father. I stepped up to Qi Fu. "My father has already fought bravely," I declared. My courage only angered Qi Fu. "I know my place," my father said to me. "It's time you knew your place too." That night, I watched my father fall in pain while he practiced sword fighting. I had to do something to protect him. I decided to go to the battle in my father's place, disguised as a boy. After my family had fallen asleep, I used my father's sword to cut my hair short. I dressed in my father's armor, then rode Khan away from my village to enlist in the army. Girls in China were forbidden to become soldiers, so I would have to guard my secret carefully. Someone already knew my secret: a fast-talking little dragon named Mushu. A former family guardian, Mushu hoped to please ancestors by making me a hero. He seemed more like a lizard than a dragon, but I needed all the help I could get. I rode into the camp with Mushu and Creaky hidden. There I met Captain Shang, who demanded to know my name. "It's Ping," I blurted. Shang started the basic training. For days we failed to retrieve his arrow from the top of the pole. Shang told me to pack up and go home, but I refused to give up. Instead, I gave the pole one last shot and managed to hoist myself to the top. Finally, we were ready for battle. Shang led us through the snowy Tung Xiao Pass, where Shan Yu and his army took us by surprise. I got an idea. I grabbed our last cannon, aimed it at the mountain, and fired. A rumble followed the explosion and then an avalanche of snow. The avalanche buried the Han army. It also pushed Shang off a steep cliff. I reached down from Khan's back and pulled Shang to safety. It felt good to know everyone was safe until all I could feel was pain. A medic dressed a deep wound in my side. He also discovered my secret, that I was a girl. Chai Fu ordered Shang to execute me, but the captain refused. I had saved his life, so he saved mine. That didn't save me from being banished from the army. After the rest of the army had left, Khan, Mushu, Kriki, and I shivered around a fire. Suddenly, the sound of crackling flames was replaced by a familiar growl from afar. Shan Yu and some of the Huns had popped up from under the ice and snow, still alive. I had to warn Shang. While a parade marched through the city, I caught up with Shang. The Huns are alive, I told him. Shang refused to believe me until the Huns appeared and dragged the emperor into the palace. Without help, the emperor didn't have a chance. I had another idea. At my urging, the soldiers Yao, Ling, and Chen Po disguised themselves as women. They took the Huns by surprise and carried the emperor to safety. When Shan Yu saw me, he chased me to the roof of the palace. But he was no match for my speed or my plan. I grabbed Shan Yu's sword and used it to pin his cloak to the rooftop. Then I turned to the fireworks tower and shouted, "Ready, Mushu!" Boom! Sparks flew. Mushu and Kriki rode a fireworks rocket through the sky. The force knocked Shang and me to the palace steps. Shan Yu was defeated, but much of the palace was ruined. "I have heard a great deal about you, Mulan," the emperor said. "You stole your father's armor, impersonated a soldier, dishonored the Chinese army, destroyed my palace, and saved us all." Saved us all? When I looked up, everyone was bound to me. The emperor offered me a position on his council, which I turned down. All I wanted to do was travel back to my family. When I saw my father, he said something I will never forget. "The greatest gift and honor is having you for a daughter. I brought my family honor by being courageous and smart, and by saving China. Not bad for a late bloomer."
The end.